Welcome back to Partnerships Unraveled, the podcast where we unravel the mysteries of partnerships and channel on a weekly basis. My name is Rick van der Bos and I'm the CEO and founder of Channext, and I'm here together with Alex Whitford, VP Partners at Channext. Alex, how are you doing today?
I'm in a great mood. Yeah, we're recording this podcast on literally the last day of quarter. And yeah, the numbers are looking great. We're overachieving like crazy, which makes me in a good mood. And I'm even sat here with Rick, who I think today is LinkedIn famous. You're going viral.
Yeah, it appears to be the case indeed. But super exciting indeed. Yesterday we launched a big thing for us here at Channext, and really cool to see it resonating very well. It's now 31st of March, therefore as well end of quarter day, of course, but also on the LinkedIn post, many channel people, many partner people really coming together, having great discussions. So yeah, absolutely love to see what it sparked there.
Yeah, it's awesome, right? Because I think when you're building a business and you're building a marketing proposition and strategic narrative, we've got this whole plan, and we've obviously been discussing it a lot in the podcast around Partner Portal doesn't really work. There's this paradigm shift to a partner success platform. And, you know, we think we're really clever. We think this is the right idea. But then when you actually do a post like we did yesterday and you see it suddenly going viral and it is really resonating with not just channel people, but partnership people with partners in the channel, and everyone's agreeing, and it's presenting this right discussion around this sort of technology shift towards this new platform, suddenly you think, okay, potentially we've made the right bet here. And it's great because now we've walked in on last day of quarter and demo request after demo request is flying in. That, yeah, makes me feel like we've worked really hard and achieved something good.
Yeah, I agree there. Also thinking we hardly ever talk about business on the podcast, of course, but I think it's nice to sometimes also share a bit more about that with our listeners, because everyone within our listener base is also in sales or marketing, of course.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, you know, we talk a lot, right? This process of building a business and this process of building partnerships in channel, it's a lot of work, and you feel like you're not achieving anything for quite a long time, and then suddenly you get this big hockey stick, right? And everything starts to land at once. And I always find that's what real progress looks like. A lot of people think it's a mess or it's very linear, but it's not. It's like butting your head against the wall, and then suddenly you just get this moment of like, oh wow, everything has started to click. And to combine that with my favorite time of the year, which is quarter end, yeah, I feel like a kid in a candy shop at the moment.
Yeah, I like that analogy as well, because I think that's also really so true in partnerships. Yeah. Like you're continuously figuring out, you're adjusting your playbooks, building your relationships with the partners, looking who's the right end user there, and then when it clicks, it feels really good. Yeah,
it's funny. I actually think I think it might just be a universal rule of achieving complicated things, right, or achieving difficult things. I think even the thing of like you go to the gym, right? No one will notice for a long time, and then suddenly everyone will notice. Or you're building a business, or you're trying to close a new type of customer, or any of these things. It feels like you're doing lots of work and nothing's happening, but all of that good credit is secretly being built up, and then you're going to find the mechanism that works. You're going to find the message that resonates. You're going to find the platform, the tool that cascades that messaging. Whatever those wins are that feel small, they grow, and then suddenly you get this hockey stick motion, which is I think why we all work as hard as we do, because it's great to have that feeling.
And it's crucial to always keep that in mind. Like there are moments when things are really not working and really hard to push things forward, but then indeed if you do everything you can on a single day basis, but then also know that you sometimes need the patience for things to eventually click, that's where you will get a lot more peace of mind as well when working towards success together with your partners.
Yeah, I'm not sure I've ever got the peace of mind element. I think I'm always way too impatient, but I think deep down I know that my expectation is the process is going to take 6 weeks, and that's probably outrageous, and it's more likely going to take 12 weeks. But I know if we just continue to push, you continue to test, you continue to innovate, you're going to get there. And I think it's probably my foundation in channel that's really taught me that, because you're not in control of your own deal cycle. And in fact, for you to close a deal, you actually have to do a whole load of work before you even get into a deal cycle, let alone close that first deal, recruit partner, enable partner, train partner, all that stuff. I think it's really taught me that actually success is a long-term game, but delivered in short-term sprints, right? And if you can get that motion going, and we've discussed it even through the quarter here at Channext, that, oh my God, we've got to do this, but we've got to get it done in 3 days, because then the next thing's going to take 4 days, and the thing after that's going to take 2 days, and the thing after that's going to take 3 weeks. But if you can get that motion of sprinting, but achieving that long-term success, I think that's really how you drive channel, business, and partnerships forward.
Yeah, I think building that momentum is crucial. Indeed, with the right milestones, with the right pacing there, and that's how you build up towards your partner program success as well. Love it. Well, I think maybe for our listeners who have not seen the post, if you want to see it, it's the top featured post on my profile. But to briefly summarize it to you, the main concept of the post and the thing that's sparking all the discussion is, should we shift from a portal to a platform? And what do we mean with that shift? In a portal, it's always about a one-to-one relationship. So where you have one vendor working with one partner. It can be a channel partner, it can be a tech partner, but it's always that one-to-one relationship. While in a platform, you come together with more stakeholders in the channel, with your alliances, with your tech partners, with your distributors, with your channel partners there as well. So you can really collaboratively go to market and build a joint go-to-market motion there as well.
Yeah, the short answer seems to be yes. I don't know if we can just stop the podcast right now, but certainly the feedback we're getting in the market is not only is the market ready for this shift, they're desperate for this shift. And I think expectations have just been reset with the likes of a Salesforce and a HubSpot that have got these ingrained integrations. The end user has that mindset already, which is, well, I use this tool. I want to be able to dynamically integrate that with all the other use cases that I need, all the other tools that I need. That one-to-many relationship works brilliantly at the end user. And now partners have that same expectation, right? Which is, well, if I'm using that as an end user, how crazy is that? You're a partner, you use, I don't know, Microsoft Azure, and you're able to dynamically integrate everything. And then you look at your partner portal and you've got to log into 30 different portals and none of them connect with each other and they don't help with marketing. Well, they're now seeing, well, actually, I need that as well. So it's so good to hear from the market, like, yes, this is what we've been waiting for. And I think today we're going to discuss exactly why that shift from portal to platform is resonating so well.
Yeah, I think it's all about putting the partner experience first. You just mentioned it. Indeed, they have all those vendors they are working with. You as a vendor want partner engagement to drive revenue. So you need to make it as easy as possible for a partner to engage with you. And I think what we're going to dive into today are the 3 outcomes, so to say, of when you make that shift from portal to platform. And I'd like to start with the first one, which is really enabling yourself as a vendor to work collaboratively with your tech partners and your alliances through the channel. Because I think that's something that really changed in the last couple of years, of course. It was always very much a channel modus. It was a sell-through motion through resellers, for example. But now you also got other ISVs you're partnering up with. You've got alliances where you are co-selling, where you need to do very different type of activities, but also another alliance that also has a whole channel there. So how do you really combine the both of that? And I think that's an interesting one. Like, what's the main issue you see, like, when you want to address such a thing in the current market?
Sure, let's tackle how it's done today, right? For example, a distributor will do a lot of this activity. They might build, and this is my background, right, an AV meeting room in a box, effectively, and they'll go, right, we're going to pair Microsoft Teams and Logitech and Samsung and whatever else into a bundle. Awesome. What happens if the partner doesn't use one of those vendors because for whatever reason they prefer a different brand? Oh, well, that now bundle doesn't work. Right, that's it, game over, because the distributor is the one that's pulling it together. What happens if one of the vendors prefers another vendor and they're trying to build that technology? Oh, it just doesn't work. And then it doesn't happen. And then the partner loses and the end user loses. And that's really the prohibiting factor. And the reason is because the technology isn't there to support that sort of cross-enablement and collaboration from a sales and marketing perspective. And so that's the best thing about having a many-to-many relationship, is one partner now can choose the vendors that they want, putting the partner first, removing that friction, and they can say, oh, we want this, this, and this vendor. Now, how do we market all of those vendors? How do we co-sell to all those vendors? How do we highlight opportunities back to all of those vendors simultaneously? Well, in a platform, you can do that. And what's brilliant about this solution, and what's brilliant about the change that we're going to see now, is that the partners can now start to be far more dynamic about these tech alliances, and the tech alliances can choose the partners that want to work with them and really pour time and resource into making those specialist relationships work, cross-selling, co-marketing effectively, sharing budgets, sharing resources, driving the impact that they need. And that's the thing that I'm so passionate about. We are putting the partner success first, and those tech alliances can orientate around those partners who want to work with them.
Yeah, I think how I look at it, it's really that you are really building a scaling engine, because especially also a lot in SaaS companies, you see a lot of budgets being invested in the other ISVs, the independent software vendors and the tech partners, where they create customer cases together, they do co-marketing activities, they are training the direct salespeople of the other tech partner, etc. But what I think is super valuable there is all those resources have already been created, so have been invested already. But what you see happening is that that's where it stops. So we're only selling to each other's customer base. But what you also see is that almost every SaaS company also has a big channel. So they are working with agencies, or they are working with system integrators, they are working with managed service providers. And it's such a pity that because we are working so much in silos, is that we are spending a lot of resources in things that are very valuable for the end user, but then we are not sharing this with and through our channel to that end user, and that we are not training our channel on that joint value proposition, that we are not, once we are in a deal motion, that we are just working one-to-one between a vendor and a channel partner versus, hey, let's work in a deal together with both the tech partners and the specific channel partner. And I think that's really why that shift from portal to platform is so crucial, because that's where you really facilitate those go-to-market motions.
Yeah, it's actually crazy. I'll try not to swear because my mum will shout at me. But basically, channel is the scaling engine. That's the whole point, right? Is that you develop a product that works with an end user and you leverage the channel to take that product as wide and as far as possible. Well, what's interesting is you can now build a tech alliance that works for that end user, but you aren't leveraging the channel to scale that tech alliance as wide and far as possible because the technology is letting you down, right? And so just conceptually, if the tech alliance is profitable and drives success, you need to work on how you take that to the masses via the channel, and having a platform is the mechanism to do that. And what's so integral and interesting about the way this is going to drive business forward is you're about to get that double scaling vector. You're about to get the scaling vector of the tech alliance built into the scaling vector of the channel, and those two things working in coordination are going to really, really ramp up success. And so what makes me really excited, and what we're hearing from the market over the last sort of 24 hours, is that the partnership market is ready. They are desperate to see this happen because they're desperate to benefit from that first mover's advantage. They know the early ones are going to get the benefit of this double scaling vector, and so they're desperate to move quickly, which, you know, puts us in a really exciting position because we're able to evangelize about the benefit of this shift towards platform and really drive the market forward.
Yeah, I think what you see there, indeed, it's I fully agree. Like, it's that scaling engine, the double network effect we're always talking about, or maybe even triple. If you have like tech plus channel, that's a super interesting one as well, of course. And I think that's it on the one hand. So all the activities that you are doing are scaled on a much wider basis. But also on the cost side and resource side, it's very interesting, because if you work together with your tech partners in the platform, then you can collaboratively create success plans and onboarding plans for your channel partners. You can collaboratively create training. You can do co-marketing activities. And you can also really say, hey, we're working on it together now. Usually I only have one FTE as a resource, but now we have two, and we can split responsibilities. And it's with the same output, actually with a way larger output, because you're scaling it on a much higher level. And it also costs less time and resources to create everything. So I really think it's a win-win-win there.
Yeah, I'm not sure I've got the vocabulary to actually conceptualize how big the advantage is for the people that get this right. But effectively, you've got lower risk, greater scale, better conversion at the partner, and better conversion at the end user. That's everything you want in a partner program. And so the partner program leaders who think, right, how do we really monetize these relationships and drive the data through the channel as effectively as possible? They're going to be the partner leaders that cause the outsized return. I'm deeply competitive. I'm always looking for the next win. And for me, that's going to be the big win over the next couple of years, is seeing those vendors who go, hang on a second, we don't even know some of the tech alliances that we are integrating with, because the channel is doing that for us. Why are we letting this happen by accident? Let's make this happen by strategy and really drive it through the channel. And, sales 101, there's such a difference between reactive and proactive. If you're now being proactive with your technical tech integrations and the technical drive into the channel, you're going to win big.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the big advantages of combining it in such a way. And I think the second one, which is getting a lot of traction as well, and what we're hearing from a lot of vendors is many vendors work with distribution, of course, where you work with a tier 2 model with unmanaged partners that are behind your distributors. What is there the actual pain or like the risk of not knowing who those partners are behind your distributors, but also not being able to interact with them on a daily basis?
Yeah, so let's look at the two sort of efficacies of what distribution do. There's sort of two main pillars for your long tail or your unmanaged partners, right? The first is, who are the next rising stars? That's ultimately a core function of what distribution are meant to do. Recruit new partners, help engage those partners with very low cost to the vendor, and find the next big player that's going to come up into your gold medal status, for example. That's one core function. Well, you want a platform to be able to continually engage those platforms, so those partners, so that you can drive the rising stars as efficiently as possible, that there's minimum fallout, that you're getting them from 0 to hero fast and consistently. The second efficacy for distribution is that there's very low cost, but there's a good number in there, right? There's very low resource capture from a vendor perspective, because they'll have one distribution account manager and he might be responsible for 5,000 partners, right? And so that person is a very good ROI. But if there's a platform over the top that helps that person deliver more value, there's not an FTE input, there's just a big cost saving there, and you can significantly drive the output. A 10% improvement in performance in your long tail is a huge driver for most vendors, and so that's why you've got to be looking at how do we distribute and manage scale effectively to drive the revenue performance there.
I think what I hear from a lot of vendors is that one of their main challenges is that they don't know who the partners behind the distributors are. Because in their portal, they only have their distributor who has access there. So that's who they are interacting with. That's who they send their to-partner communication to. They have their content library for them, etc. But distribution also has this big challenge of that they are also always have a lack of time and resources. So they need to manage that vast amount of partners. You as a vendor can't really help them because you don't know who the partners are. And I think that's if you work indeed in a central place where you combine your activities together with your distributors and then scale that through the unmanaged partners. It's a bit similar to working with an alliance, actually. You just combine two networks together. And that's where it becomes very interesting again. And that really helps you to scale those activities. It is true, if you want to do this, it must be very low touch because those partners are not doing the revenue necessarily that you can actually put dedicated account management towards it. So that's where you need to think, okay, how can I work together with my distributor on the most important activities, training, co-marketing, co-selling, and accelerate distribution and unmanaged as such.
Yeah, it's really funny because we're constantly pairing sort of customer success and partner success and seeing the relationship between those two industries. Digital CS is a multi-billion-dollar a year industry for a reason, because digital CS is so valuable for customer retention, lifetime value, and customer upsell. The same is true for digital partner success, right? Which is that platform which allows you to dynamically enable thousands of partners at the same time. The other thing that I often see is, we know who our partners are in distribution. We get a POS report. It's like, well, okay, you know one data point. You know how much revenue each of those partners do, but you don't know anything else. How much activity are they doing which is leading to that performance? Because if they're doing nothing, that revenue is non-guaranteeable, right? You don't know if that's going to be consistent. You don't know if that's one deal. You don't know if that's just one customer. And what you want to be able to do is collect more data points and drive more information to and from your partners so that you can drive consistent success. Because don't forget, we are all aware of the 80-20 rule, but what you want to be doing is finding those rising stars, driving much more manual support into those, and that's that conversion from digital CS to manual one-on-one CS. And that we want to do that from a partner perspective as well, because if you can add just another 5 partners into your gold medal status, that's going to deliver such a huge return. And so you want to use your platform as a filtration system, capture that data, and then move them into that hero status quickly.
Yeah, I think that data part is interesting within distribution, especially what you said, that you only get the company name and then the revenue they did in the sales out list from that quarter. Because I once spoke to a head of channel, and he said to me, Rick, do you know what really keeps me up at night? And I said, well, please tell me. And then he said, when I think about distribution, 50% of my revenue is flowing through distribution. I have no clue who those partners are behind them. I know that they are selling me, but I have 0 leading indicators what they are going to sell next quarter. What if all of a sudden, without me knowing, everyone thinks, well, I'm just going to switch to another vendor, or we're not that good in the market anymore. He said, I would never achieve my revenue targets anymore. So that was why he's so interested in really involving the distributors a lot more, and therefore the unmanaged partners, because it gives you a lot more grip, it gives you a lot more skill and a lot more control.
Yeah, and that's the stick, but there's also the carrot. What happens if I could drive a 10% improvement? Well, oh my God, it'd be so easy to hit quota at that point. And that's what really driving that alliance towards your distributor. And your distributor is a partner, right? They've got all the same biases we do. They just want to hit their target as easy as possible. They're not going to run uphill unless there's a really big reason to. And so driving better alignment into your distributors is going to allow the sales and marketing people within those distributors to make it easy for them to be successful. They care about their own quota as well. And if it's easier to hit their quota with your partners, they are going to prioritize your partners. And so this sort of digital management of all of these long tail, that's going to really drive an outsized advantage against your competition. And remember, if they are your long tail, they are your competitor's long tail, meaning that your competitor is not putting a huge amount of focus into them easier. That's where the really, really easy wins are. We all know the value of the Softcats, the Becklers, the CDWs of this world, but so do your competitors, and they're fighting just as hard in those. Some easy wins are the next hero partners that no one's heard of, and distribution and digital management is the way to find those partners easily and then prioritize them with manual resource.
I like that you use the word easy, because I think we've been speaking a lot about making it easier for the channel partners, so for the agencies, for the MSPs, the resellers, etc. But it is also very, very true for distribution. We haven't touched upon it that much yet, but if you can really show distribution that you make their life easier, that you help them scale activities with their partners and things like that, that's where you can really win as a vendor.
Yeah, I spent 6 years either working in distributors or managing distributors, and one of the things I prioritized a lot of my time was, how can I get to target easily, right? And if that was selling this vendor or that vendor, if that was targeting these types of partners or these types of partners, to me, I didn't care at all. I cared about hitting my number, and so I prioritized those. Right. And so when I then worked and managed vendors within distributors, it was, how can I get the sales guys to hit their number easily? Right. Well, this is the collateral they need. This is the engagement profile they need. These are the partners we want to go after. All of that, making it as easy as possible for the reps to hit their target, selling my vendor. That's how I prioritize. So the platform is going to drive the preference in the distributor, which is going to drive the long tail success, minimize churn, drive growth. All the things you want from a distributor. You've just got to help them a little bit and help them efficiently via a platform.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's one of the key takeaways I really learned from working a lot with distributors for the last 5 years as well, is also very much in that specific area, is that you need to do some of the heavy lifting for them as well. Like a lot of vendors used to tell me, yeah, no, that's up to distribution completely. It's my unmanaged, so I don't do anything with that. But that's a very passive way, right, to approach it. So yes, your distributors are responsible. They are working on it day by day. But you as a vendor are still the driving force towards those, towards the unmanaged partners as well, in terms of what type of collateral you give them, what type of marketing support, co-selling support, etc.
Yeah, for all those sort of channel leaders who say, "Oh, that's distribution's responsibility," I just have one question for you. Does your distributor prefer to sell you or your competitor? If you don't know the answer, you have a problem immediately, because that distributor will sell lots of competitive solutions, or they're up against other competition. They need to be very, very clear on why they're selling your product and how easy it is to hit target. And if you don't have a really good answer to both of those, you're in real trouble. A platform is going to be the removing of the friction, which is a real big reason as to why they're going to sell your product. Because if they can hit target with almost no work, because the digital management is helping drive that success, that's what they're going to do. Salespeople inherently, like myself, are lazy. I'm going to get to my target as easily as I can. I'm not going to do it just because I like you. I'm going to do it because it's going to get me paid. And the digital process, the platform process, is how you can ensure the consistency of success with your partners.
Yeah, remove the friction is what it's all about. Then I think the third real big thing there is that if you are working in a portal, you are just working with your own network of channel partners there, and it's always up to you to get out of the portal, so to say, into the big wide world and find new partners to get them into your portal. And I think another thing that a lot of vendors that we're speaking to are looking for is, okay, but I want to become part of a larger network where it's not just me reaching out to partners, but also partners coming to me. I think that's one of the crucial things of making that shift from portal to platform is you join a much wider network. Look at just the stakeholders we've been talking about, alliances, tech partner vendors, other distributors, etc. Everyone is working there with their partners. So you are becoming part of a marketplace where actually partners can really find you, but also say, I'm interested into becoming part of your partner program. So it's also a way of scaling your partner recruitment efforts to also make sure you build inbound partner recruitment versus mainly outbound.
The thing that really excites me about what you're talking about is that when I look at our marketplace, 40% of our connections are coming from marketplace. And what that means is we are seeing live and in time the desire of partners to connect with multiple vendors and the efficiency that that drives across our network. That's the scale that you want. We see it within HubSpot, we see it within Salesforce, we see it within our own platform. The partners are desperate for that multi-ecosystem approach, and the win is there for both the vendors and the partners, and that's the beauty of the channel. It's a circular model, right? And what we can do is deliver, and the more we add into that ecosystem, the more everyone benefits from that success.
Yeah, I think it takes a little bit of a mindset shift for a lot of vendors where they are also a bit anxious. Okay, but then is my partner then going to a competitor or whatever? But the advantages of working with all your alliances there with your distributors and finding those new channel partners are massively outweighing the risks that are out there.
Yeah, my argument is pretty simple. Your partners are going to do it anyway. You can either come along with the journey and compete on an even playing field and remove the friction and fight with them, or they're going to join via another vendor and you're going to lose that battle anyway, right? Because it's sort of going, oh, we're not ready for the internet, so we're not going to go along with it. Okay, well, Blockbuster did that and now no one ever buys from them. Netflix has replaced them, right? You either come with the journey and fight on the playing field, or you can get left behind and you will just lose because the partner's going to choose the mechanism that makes it easiest for them to be successful. And so the vendors that get in line with that journey and understand that that battle has to happen are the ones that are going to win, right? The example I love to use all the time is DocuSign, HelloSign, they're both on HubSpot. Why? That introduces competition. What if my end user goes and chooses a different one? Yeah, you can think like that, but they are going to choose one. So do you want them to choose you or not? And then work out how you can compete most effectively in that marketplace. Because guess what? The person that wins that competition well is going to get a huge return from that relationship.
Yeah, and no one wants to become the new Blockbuster, right?
No, I think there's only one left globally, and I think Netflix is doing pretty well.
I think for our listeners, indeed, like if you want to collaborate together with your tech partners through your channel, if you are really looking into distribution as well and making sure you get more insight into your unmanaged partners, and if you are looking at, okay, how can I create an inbound flow of partners, not just us proactively recruiting outbound, then it's really worth to think about, okay, how can we make the shift from a portal to a platform? I'd like to thank you, Alex. I'd like to thank our listeners for listening and see you next week.